Your book does have some explanation on the sociological imagination, but this video is designed to help you A, understand it a little more deeply, but B, also get a good idea of how you could use this perspective to apply it to situations in your own life. So first off, here's our friend C. Wright Mills. He's a fairly famous sociologist as far as sociologists go. And the Sociological Imagination is a book that he wrote. And the main thesis of it is this, is that sociology is great because it lets us put our own lives into context with society and history. So when Mills talks about society, he points out that it changes a lot. And because it's changing all the time, sometimes that can make it hard to cope with the world around us. But have no fear. Mills says that the sociological imagination is there for you to help you feel more grounded in the face of those changes. So there's two lenses sort of that the sociological imagination works with. The first one is the individual. In Mills's book, he also calls this biography or sometimes personal troubles. So as an example, a woman with an eating disorder, she has personal reasons for that, absolutely. Maybe she feels like her weight has spiraled out of control, and this is a major area where she can get her life back in control. Maybe she thinks that she is larger than the rest of her friends, or for other reasons she's unhappy with her personal body image. Now that's an important part of her eating disorder. And this lens is where most of us tend to stay when we think on issues. Either our own reasons for things or our own experiences, or maybe the experiences we've seen of family members or friends. But Mills thinks it's really important to also consider this next lens, which is society. So he thinks what's really helpful is to take those individual experiences, those maybe reasons for an eating disorder, and then put them into context with what's going on in society. So in this, he also calls that history or structural issues. So in this case, we would look at, why are eating disorders prevalent in society? So maybe we'd look at something like how all of our ads or TV shows or things are photoshopped so that even the slightest thing that could be considered an imperfection goes away, and we're faced with these unreasonable expectations all the time. You could look at pressures that society puts on appearance. Maybe you'd look at how those have changed, how thinness is valued, and then you would see how maybe that would influence an individual and their behaviors related to that eating disorder. So let's go ahead and apply that to you. So I want you all to think about a question, and that's, why did you decide to go to BYU-Idaho? First, let's look at reasons that are personal, those biography kinds of issues. Maybe BYU-Idaho is your dream school. You're really excited to go to a school that would also have a church atmosphere. Maybe you are an online student, and this gave you the opportunity to take classes from home. Maybe you're excited about the relatively lower tuition. Maybe lots of your friends or your family members came here, or maybe it's also close to home and lets you stay by your family. Maybe it's far away from your family and that's what you were going for. Or maybe you have a future career in mind and this is your first step toward that career. Now those are all really important reasons why you came here. But let's take the Mills sociological imagination and take it one step further and look at some society, kind of those history reasons. So when you say you want a good job, it used to be you could get that good job straight out of high school. So this graph it's sort of the middle of the page, but it's the top left of those pictures, shows the declining jobs in manufacturing. The US is your bright blue line, and you can see that big drop-off over the past 20 years. So at this point, it's going to be really hard for you to get a good job with just a high school education. A lot of those jobs are just not located here anymore. Increasingly, it's become more and more the case that you need some sort of specialized training, whether that's an associate's level training or a bachelor's level training, that you're going to, or even master's or doctorate, you're going to need that to have what you'd consider a good job. You also live in a society that values higher education. You can see that The federal government gives grants and loans to people to go to college. I'm sure some of you may have more mixed feelings on FAFSA for filling out paperwork. Um, but the presence of that as a stimulus shows that it is seen as a society, that it's favored by society. This graph here in the bottom right is the college enrollment rate of recent high school graduates from 1959 to 2009. And in 2009, that's 70% of recent high school graduates enrolling in college by the age of 24. Now, not all of those students finish, but it's about 70%, more than 2/3 of recent high school graduates enroll in college. So that's a pretty sizable social norm that lots of people around you are also choosing to go to college, that that's what they're doing as they're young adults. And then I think it's always important to consider the influence of LDS society and culture on us as well. There we have on that Launch Your Future, that's actually a Mormon ad. Part of our religion is that we're told to be smart, to get an education, to seek all the knowledge and learning that we can. So maybe that also influenced your decision to go to college. So throughout the semester, you'll have lots of opportunities to use the sociological imagination, and this is what I'd like you to do. Think about your own experiences and your friends and the people around you, because those do matter and are important. In the sociological theories, that's like symbolic interaction, that interactions build society, but that we're also going to put them into context with trends in all of society as a whole, and that helps us get a better sociological picture on the situation.